Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to G'day Namaste. Today I have with me a lovely girl called Kat. She is an American living in India, and I will give it over to Kat now if you wanted to just introduce yourself and why you're here in India.
Hello, my name is Kat. I am here in India because, my husband lives here and I came with him. So initially he and I met in the US and, we got together. There was some discussion, there was actually a lot of back and forth discussion if we should live in India versus the US. And with his career and everything, we ultimately decided that it would be best for both of us, for our relationship, future family, everything, to relocate to India. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, and where do you live again? How long have you been here for?
So I'm living in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. I've been in India for almost a year. I arrived at the end of June in 2022. So currently in Ahmedabad, but soon we'll actually be moving to Calcutta.
Mm-hmm. There's a few foreigners in Calcutta, so I'm not sure about Ahmedabad if there's many foreigners there, but there's quite a few in Calcutta that I know of.
I've only ever met two other foreigners living here, both French nationals.
Really? Okay, well, yeah, Calcutta has a lot more. All right, so some of the questions that we've got for today. The first one, what it's like living in India and some of the hardest things you've struggled with when you first moved, and if you still struggle with them now.
There's a lot that's different from the US. A few of the big things that really impacted me the most were, one, driving. In the US, I drove everywhere. If I need to go to the store to get something, no big deal, I'll just hop in my car and go, and I don't have to ask anybody. I don't need assistance. Here, though, the driving is done on the opposite side of the road, and the steering is also on the opposite side, and the traffic is very different. In the US, everything is like, there's lane lines, you stay in your lane, everybody stops at the stoplight or the stop sign. It's very organized. And I guess people do need that in the US,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here my husband Tane refers to it as organized chaos. Like there's a lot. They drive on hard mode. I respect anybody who can drive here and do it well and remain alive and uninjured.
Yeah.
I'm used to it now as a passenger, but when I was visiting India for the first time, like the traffic gave me such bad anxiety. Like I hated sitting in the passenger seat. I would want to go in the back and close my eyes. But now it doesn't faze me at all, but I'm not ready to drive in it yet.
Yeah. Have you driven at all or tried driving at all?
I did drive once. It was in the middle of rural Rajasthan. There was hardly anybody on the road.
Yeah.
And Danae's parents said, "Hey, you want to try driving?" So I did.
It's a nice way to do it.
It was. I felt comfortable doing it because there were so few other cars on the road, and it was fine.
Yeah,
I lived. But the only thing was, with the opposite steering, anytime I would try to turn on my turn signal, I would end up turning.
Yes, the driving thing is something that wasn't too bad for me because in Australia we drive on the same side of the road. But I remember the first time I had to drive on a highway here, it was like at night going through peak hour traffic because Sunil, my husband, we had to take him to hospital because he had dengue fever and he couldn't drive. And my in-laws, my father-in-law wasn't here and my mother-in-law doesn't drive. So I had to drive. And I was like, I have to do it. I have to bite the bullet and do it because the responsibility's on me. But I can't imagine what it'd be like driving on the opposite side of the road.
Yeah, well, if you ever come to the US, maybe you should try it.
Maybe. All right. Are there any things that you still struggle with now living here? It's been a couple of years, so about a year.
Yeah, driving definitely isn't the only thing that I do struggle with. I'd say, I'm not at the point where I'm ready to drive yet. So it's one thing that I still struggle with. Another is, at least in Ahmedabad, there's very few English speakers or these people who are talking in English. Most people here, their preferred language is Gujarati. They also typically know Hindi, but Gujarati is preferred. And I'm learning Hindi right now, but there's, the reason I chose Hindi first was because I figured it's the most versatile. I knew that I ultimately won't be staying in Ahmedabad long term.
Yeah.
But communication is still very hard. My Hindi is still very rudimentary, very limited. I'm not very confident in speaking Hindi, so it's definitely a struggle. Like, even people, I live with Tanay and his parents, as well as his sister, his grandparents, and there are people, members of his own family, mainly Tanay's grandmothers, who don't speak hardly any English, and the house staff don't speak English as well. So communication can definitely be really hard.
Yeah, definitely. It really you really struggle with having some independence when you can't communicate in the language. I found that probably one of the hardest things was having to rely on Sunil to do like the littlest things for me, like making a phone call or talking or answering the door. And I hated it. It was so hard. I didn't prepare for that when I moved here. I didn't prepare for that feeling of kind of isolation from not being able to communicate.
Yeah, it is isolating. I mean, that was something that I'd anticipated. Yeah. And it turned out to be true, because I was worried, one of my concerns about moving is like, I have all this independence in the States. Like, I have my own house, I have my own job. I don't have to worry about communicating with anybody hardly, drive anywhere I want without any concern. Mm-hmm. And here it's not like that at all.
Yeah, it's a big difference. All right, next question. What are some things you love about India?
Food. No, there's a lot more. But food is one thing I really do love quite a lot. Even long before I ever even thought it would be possible for me to move to India, I always loved Indian food. Like I remember the first time I tried it was actually in New York with my cousins. I think I was like 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I was like, wow, we gotta have this again.
Yeah, and who would have thought, the 12-year-old you, who would have thought that you would have been living in India, having unlimited Indian food?
Yeah, even if you'd asked me 5 years ago if I thought I would be living in India, I would have told you, no, you're crazy.
Yeah. Me too.
I am, though.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, it's actually coming up to my 4-year anniversary next week. So it's wild to think that it's been 4 years now.
You seem to have carved out a nice little place for yourself, though.
Oh, honestly, it's probably been the only last year. The first few years were really difficult. COVID happened. So I was here for, the two of the really, really strict lockdowns, the really bad second wave. Over the last year, I've been able to work. So I've started building up my work and my career. I've been able to travel a little bit more. I've been able to go back to Australia. My mum came to visit me last year, and we kind of have our own space. We've always lived separately from family, but when I moved here, we moved into an apartment that Sunil had been living with his mum and sister in, and I kind of didn't feel like it was my space, and we were there for a few years, and it took some time. Now I'm learning the language and I'm confident enough to be able to communicate basically. So yeah, it took a really long time, actually. The first year was the hardest.
I definitely do relate to not feeling like it's your own space.
Yeah.
I don't think Tanera is really super enthusiastic about moving to Calcutta. It was, his job placed him there. It wasn't your first choices, but one positive thing that I'm looking forward to is having that opportunity to have our own space. Lee's family is great. They're lovely people, and I get along with them well, and they've really done a lot, to help me feel comfortable and transition into living here. Yeah. But at the same time, I do definitely crave my own area, my own. At least I feel like having my own space will make me feel slightly more independent.
Definitely, yeah. And it's so crazy. We've been in this apartment for just a couple of months now, but we lived in a different tower in the same society. And my office, it was office/gym. Sunil had his workout equipment in there. And I just even didn't feel like that was my own space, that was, you know, my kind of sanctuary. But now in here, it's just my office space. I've been like getting new furniture and doing it all up, and I just feel like this is my happy zone. All right. What are some things you miss about home?
There are definitely foods that I miss from home. One of them, pizza.
Yes. I've heard wonderful things about New York slice, or like the pizza.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not from New York, but I do like that style of pizza. There's all sorts of different things, like Chicago style. I'm not going to pretend to be a pizza expert, but like I'd say the variety of pizza offered and the quality of pizza that's available in the U.S. is much better than it is here. That's definitely one I miss. Here I learned that people like to put things on pizza that I would never put on pizza, and most people back home would never put on pizza, like ketchup and mayo.
Very interesting combination, actually.
Yeah, I can't get behind that.
I don't know if I've ever seen or had mayo on pizza here. Maybe I've just never taken notice. I don't know. I just know that they sometimes have this cheesy sauce that's like kind of squeezed on. It's like cheese in a bottle. But mayo, I don't know. I've never taken notice.
I've seen it on like Swiggy's and Mayo, like certain pizzas might have it. I've never purposefully ordered anything like that.
Yeah.
But I know it is a thing.
Yeah. It's so interesting sometimes where you have like this image of what you think something is going to be just based on your own experiences from your country, and then you get it and it's like completely different. I once ordered tacos, and I thought it was going to be the taco shell, right? And it turned out to be like a naan bread stuffed, folded over and toasted in a sandwich press. Like that was the taco, and it was like, I don't know, masala chicken flavored. And I was like, my God, what is this? This was not what I was expecting.
Like soft tacos are definitely a thing, like not with the hard shell tortilla, but the softer tortilla. I mean,
yes,
I never,
that's true.
Not personally, but I mean, when in India, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it was really delicious, but I just kind of had this image of wanting hard shell tacos, and that's what I wanted, and it was just very different.
I'm sure something you could, maybe they sell at a Taco Bell.
There is a Taco Bell close by, actually. I haven't eaten there yet, though. But I did buy some taco shells from Amazon, and I did make tacos when my mum visited last year, which turned out quite nice. So the good thing about Amazon is that you can pretty much find anything. If you are like getting homesick for certain foods, it's probably on Amazon. Might cost you an arm and a leg, might be really expensive, but you can probably find it.
Yeah, I did use Amazon to order a couple of Mexican hot sauces.
Yes, nice options.
I was craving them.
Yeah. Are they imported or are they made here?
I think they're imported. One of them was Cholula. I can't remember what the other one was.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah. I've noticed that sometimes, like, I'll see a brand of something that's Australian, but it's been imported from a different country, like Tim Tams, the chocolate biscuit that's really popular in Australia. We saw Tim Tams once in a international food store, but they were Tim Tams from Malaysia. So they tasted completely different. Wasn't even close to the flavour I was used to. So yeah, I always have to check to see where they've been imported from to see if it's the same thing or not.
Yeah, I had that same disappointment with Flaming Hot Cheetos. So in some grocery stores here, you'll see what's labeled as Flaming Hot Cheetos. It has Arabic writing on the bag. Yeah. So I said, "Oh, Flaming Hot Cheetos." I mean, how different can that be? So I bought a bag. I tried it. It's like it's about as flaming hot as a capsicum.
Oh, mild, really, really mild.
Super
Sometimes
mild.
it's so disappointing, though.
You even call this flaming hot?
Yeah. Because sometimes you're really craving, or like you see something that you think, oh my God, I haven't had that in so long. I really feel like it now. And then it can be such a disappointment.
It really was.
Yeah. But I guess on the flip side, knowing that there sometimes are things available. I will send you a link after this, if I remember. It's a website that actually sells imported like chips, snacks, candy from all around like UK, America, Canada, Australia, and they ship here. So I'll send you that link. I forget the name of it. I'll have to check my apps, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find the real Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
And I'll also put it in the link, in the description as well, if anyone else is watching this and they're interested.
Like pro tip.
Yes, definitely. Because honestly, being able to like have that kind of comfort food or those small things that remind you of home can make a very big difference, and you don't realize it until you kind of have that taste of home or something that is familiar, because sometimes it can be very overwhelming with unfamiliar flavors and noises and environments, that having something small like a taste of home can help a lot.
Definitely.
All right. Any advice for others wanting to move to India, short or long term?
Yes. So one thing that I did prior to moving to India, which I would recommend for anybody moving to any country, is I visited first just as a tourist. No pressure moving that first visit.
Yeah.
I think, like for me, I knew that was something that I really wanted to do. Tanay, my husband, he didn't really like understand the need for it first. He's like, why don't you just come to India? You know, that we don't have to pay for 2 flights and all. And he's thinking practical the way he does. I told him no, like it's really important. I just want to visit first, you know, just so I can understand what I'm getting into.
Definitely.
Like, I mean, the visit, at least as far as I was concerned, wasn't going to affect my decision to move or not, but I knew it was something I had to do. Like, I think every time I visit a new country, like there's always there's this intangible feel that each country has when you're there. Yeah. And so you can't really get that from seeing a video of it or anything. Like you need to be there to really understand it. Yeah. And so those firsthand experiences. Really needed that for India prior to moving, and I think it did help. And even though Tanay initially was advising me against it, I think he definitely has seen the benefit, and he said, yeah, you know what, you were right, that was a really good idea. No, it's so true though, and I think that's probably the best advice you could give to anyone, because I know there's probably a lot of girls that are in similar situations, either married to or with an Indian, that will kind of move to India long term, whether their partner's waiting for a visa or their partner wants to, come to India long term to be with their family. And they kind of think, yes, it's going to be this great big adventure. But if you haven't been to the country before, it's very, very difficult, because you do need to kind of have those firsthand experiences. And I sort of did the same thing, actually. By the time I moved here, I'd already visited India 5 times, but maybe 4 months before I moved, I did a month trip. And Sunil and I kind of stayed together, or, we stayed together as if I was already living here. So I kind of got an insight into what my life would be like. I still struggled when I got here because I wasn't expecting that living here and being on vacation would be 2 different things. But I'm still glad that I got to have that experience, and it kind of reaffirmed that I was making the right decision by moving. Yeah, and I think, I've been to a few countries, but I think India is definitely one of those that it can, if you're not used to kind of the fast-paced lifestyle, it can be a real shock to your system. Yeah. And when I visited first, that was when I was having all that driving anxiety and stuff. Like, I didn't want to look out the window, just cover my eyes. I gasping every 5 seconds, sudden stops, honking. I was a complete mess. But I got to get all of that out of my system the first time, and then by the time I arrived in Delhi, to move this time to stay here permanently, like the traffic didn't even faze me. I was like, oh wow, the traffic. This traffic actually isn't too bad. It's a lot better than I remembered. Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's probably the best advice you can give to anyone. We have one question left, one of the question sticker ones. Someone just wants to know what your future plans are. So for me, at least I think Tanay and I are definitely going to be in India for the next 5 years or so. So his job has him under contract, and I think it's about 5 years, give or take. We may extend it longer. Maybe it'll only take 4, kind of to be seen, but definitely stay in India for the next 5 or so years. And after that, we can either stay here, we can go to the US, or we can go somewhere else. We'll see where we are at that point and what we want to do.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
My husband has started a coffee company here in India called Percolate Coffee Company. It's similar to the one that I started in the US under the same name. So basically, Percolate India sources all of its coffees from the Coorg region of India, so it's all Indian origin coffee. We don't sell any like pre-made drinks. It's all either whole beans or pre-ground beans and for brewing at home. And 10% of the profits for every purchase goes toward an animal welfare organization. The one that we support is Rainbow Animal Aid. It's based out of Diu, the Union Territory of Daman and Diu. So there's a woman there who does a lot of great work with the local stray animals, try to get them taken care of, and she does amazing work. And it's basically a one-woman show.
Yeah,
and so we're happy to support them.
Yeah. And I can confirm it's amazing coffee. I've got my cup here ready with me. I drink it every day. So I can highly recommend it. I will put the website and your Instagram, the company's Instagram links in the description. And also I'll put the link of the NGO that you're supporting as well, so people can look at that and know a little bit more about them. But I think it's a great initiative. It's wonderful. And I'm just referring it or recommending it to literally everyone. I have a lot of coffee fans here, a lot of friends, both like foreigners and locals that love coffee and love animal welfare. So I'm just telling everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Word of mouth is great.
Yes, definitely. All right. So if there's nothing else, I think we've covered nearly everything. So we've had a lot of good points, but thank you so much for coming today. If anyone has any questions for Kat, I will put her Instagram link in the description. Otherwise, just write a comment. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. It's been great. Love talking to you.
Thank you.